It's Joe and Mike with Live It Up Ogden. You might not know this, but both Joe and I live in Ogden, work in Ogden, and have a great deal of fun in Ogden.
We are very passionate about our community. So we are going to talk to the mayor candidates for the upcoming general election.
This is an important election, so if you live in Ogden, make sure you vote. Well, make sure you vote whatever community you live in. We are here with Mike Caldwell. He is one of the candidates running for mayor in the general election in November. So we're going to find out how he stands on some of the issues. So, Mike, describe the position of mayor. What's the mayor's role in your view?
Mayor is the chief executive officer of the city. You're the cheerleader, the buck stops with you. Most of the big decisions that need to be made, you need to be coordinating, helping to coordinate those, reaching into the community to get people involved, and it's a huge, multifaceted job.
Describe the position of mayor. Tell us really what's a mayor's role.
Well, it's the mayor's job to generally run the city. That means he's the one who makes things work. He's in charge of the administration, which is the majority of the staff of the city, that plow your roads and that empty your garbage and that take care of all of those services that citizens expect. He also does a lot in bringing business and jobs to a city, a community. Ogden's form of government is actually a strong mayor form of government, which means that the mayor is responsible for certain things, and the city council is responsible for other things. The mayor, for example, submits a budget to the city council with his recommendations about what needs to happen and his priorities for the city, and the city council then approves the money for that budget or makes modifications based upon whatever it is they believe is important. And the two have to work together in order to accomplish the work of the city, which is serving the citizens and making sure that all of those services that citizens expect get finished.
So what makes you most qualified to be mayor?
That's a great question, and it's one that comes up frequently. I've been in a real unique position with my job in Weber County to work with the community in a myriad of different ways. I was one of the founders of the Goal Foundation. We produced the Ogden Marathon, the Xterra National Championship, and a lot of different events that have required 16,000 volunteer hours to coordinate, and we had 70,000 participants as a result of those events just in 2010. To produce events of that size, you have to work with every single police department, right, jurisdiction, mayors of other communities. I've had an opportunity to do that as well through the ramp tax. That's the Recreation, Art, Museum, and Park tax we implemented in 2006, I believe. So I work with all the different community leaders to get funding for those different recreation, art, museum, and parks projects. I've also been on the mayor's economic recruitment team. So as we've gone out to recruit companies like Amer Sports and some of these other just companies that are looking to relocate, want to know about the quality of life we have here, how their children will function here, how they can get plugged into the schools and the community as a whole, I've been involved in that. So I've been involved in a lot of different community-wide projects, and that experience and that relationship I have with Weber State, Weber County, and all of those key agencies, I think really situates me uniquely to come into this position and be able to affect some good change.
And what makes you the best candidate for mayor of Ogden City?
Well, that is a great question. I think that there's really three things that make me the best candidate. First, I've been on the city council for the last 8 years, which means that I understand how city government works. Right. I recognize basically what the mayor's role is and what the city council's role is. I have a relationship with the city council as well as a relationship with the staff on the administrative side. So I've already built those bridges, and I can hit the job running. And I think that's very important. I think our next mayor needs to know what's happening. A learning curve in Ogden is, well, I think it would be, if it takes a year to get on board, then it would be a problem. Especially as Ogden is right now, in the middle of a lot of different things. That's number one. Number two is I'm locally educated. I have a master's degree in business administration from Weber State University. I have an undergraduate degree in business logistics, so I'm well educated and I understand business. I've been in the private sector in this area for 25 years. Several of those years as a small business owner. I owned a couple of small furniture stores, and then successfully ran them and sold them after a few years to go back and finish my education. In the last 15 or so years, I've been a corporate manager for a wholesale lumber distribution company. So I understand how business works.
Right.
I understand how the city works, and I think our mayor must understand both of those in order to keep things moving, keep that momentum going.
So we've seen a lot of improvements in Ogden over the last few years. A lot of good things. So what's your plan to keep those going on? Obviously we don't want that to change.
I absolutely agree, and again, it goes back to the relationships. The mayor himself is not the one that creates all of this change. You bring people with specific skill sets and expertise to the table. You know how to leverage different bright spots in the community and get involved in those. I've been doing that now for a long time with Weber County. I think it's critical that as we've, just in the last 3 weeks, we had 2 articles in the Wall Street Journal, one about the great brain gain we've had, where we have more people with college degrees relocating to Ogden City, one of the top 10 performing cities in the nation. We also were recognized in the Standard as one of the communities that had the best job growth in the community. So you don't go in and create a whole lot of change. If those are, you're seeing real good successes and some wins there, you don't go in, as my dad always says, fix something that's not broke. Yeah. Right. So you give that more attention and keep your foot on the gas there and make sure the attention stays where it needs to, and give them all the support and energy they need to continue with some really great work.
We have seen in the most recent years, in the last really 12 years, a lot of improvements in Ogden City. It's come a long ways. It's you know, as an Ogden City resident, I love walking down 25th Street. I love going to the Junction, all these things. So what is your plan to keep that going? Obviously, that's one of the big concerns. We don't want it to stop.
Agreed. In fact, it's the primary reason that I'm running is because I want to make sure that that momentum continues. And for me, it means that we keep downtown flourishing, we keep businesses coming, we bring jobs into Ogden, and we keep Ogden a place where people want to come and live and move. And the question was, how am I going to do that? And I don't want to bore you with a long list, but there really are a lot of different things that I have on my agenda that must happen. The first is we need to continue the redevelopment in our downtown. We need to be focusing on the right things, first of all. The current administration has done a marvelous job of focusing in on specific niche industries. The outdoor recreation industry, for example, has been a wonderful thing for Ogden, and it's brought a lot of momentum to us. However, focusing in on that will bring us a large benefit over a period of time, but we focus in on other key industries as well, or niches such as aerospace and even high-tech industry. I was talking with Ann Milner not too long ago as a part of the campaign, and she made a suggestion that I thought was excellent, and that is cooperating with Weber State University in order to create a high-tech incubation here in Ogden, where we're creating high-tech companies that stay and work and grow their business here. Then the way that the industry works is that larger companies will often come in and purchase smaller companies, and that would give us a foot into the door in some of the larger companies. In other words, a strategy to bring larger companies a bit at a time into our community. So those are a couple of the ideas, the focus on the right thing. We need to be making sure that we're working effectively. And I think that a lot of what has happened in Ogden has happened because the current administration, they work hard at it. They go out and they knock on doors, they connect, they know who they want to talk to, they go to those businesses, they talk with the CEOs. The mayor himself is calling people on the telephone all the time. I think that's the mayor's job, to make those connections. I think that we can work even smarter than that. We can make sure that we're networking not just with those businesses individually and doing cold calling, but creating opportunities for ourselves by creating relationships with businesses that bring business.
You've mentioned a few projects you've worked on. Any other projects you want to mention that you've been working on that have affected Ogden City?
I would say the biggest contribution, and one of the things I'm the most excited about, is just the rebranding and rebirth. If you talk to people that have been around Ogden for decades, they talk about, well, it's kind of was a rundown rail town, and what do we do, and we're not really sure. It just seemed a little bit rudderless. And now we have people, I have friends that live in Salt Lake and Park City that come and say, what are you guys doing up there? All of this press and all of this energy and excitement is amazing, and that's what we need to get businesses to relocate, to get people, young families, to drop their roots in our community and get involved and invest in what's happening here, they need to be excited and have pride in place. And I've been very heavily involved in that in the last 6 to 8 years. We have a number of different community groups that have been working extremely hard on that. I've been either the board chair or CEO of 4 of those community groups. In 2006, I was the president and CEO of the Convention Visitors Bureau and oversaw a transition there, and we've seen huge gains in tourism because there is that palpable excitement and energy, and people want to find out what's going on. It's the new, fresh face in Utah, and people really, it's generated a lot of attention. So I think it's a fantastic thing. I've got experience and background in promoting that. I've got, you know, I really believe that effective leadership is your ability to produce results. And I've done that in, I think, a big way over the past 8 years here, and that's what I think we need to have in the next mayor.
What projects have you participated in?
Well, as I mentioned, I've been on the city council for the last 8 years, so I've been involved in pretty heavily in just about every major project that's hit the city, from the Junction downtown and the improving of the Solomon Center, which, you know, was a fabulous project, which not just brought the Solomon Center, but it brought some regional venues that have drawn people into our community, kind of a cool factor to the center of the city. It's also brought a synergy in downtown. If the Solomon Center wouldn't have happened, then we wouldn't have gotten the Larry Miller Theaters. We wouldn't have gotten the Boyer part of the Junction development. And so it all works in tandem. And that project was a key project that was controversial at the time, but I think everybody would agree now that it's brought some very positive things to Ogden and some great momentum to the downtown with the creation of the Junction. In fact, right now we're building well, a contractor's actually building it. We went through the approval process for a hotel.
Yes.
Right, which is in the Junction, which will fill that last piece, which will kind of complete that area of the Junction, include some retail and another restaurant as well. And that sort of, that's come from the same sort of synergy and excitement that, that has been with that project from the very beginning. There's other projects that I'm very proud of that I've been involved in that are more related to our neighborhoods, like the Good Landlord program. I was involved in the approval of that program, and the purpose of the Good Landlord program is to help our landlords and encourage them by incentive to have better tenants and to be better trained about how to deal with their tenants, and also to make a little bit more money and to take care of their property so that they're a contributing factor to the neighborhood and not a detracting factor to the neighborhood.
So what are the most important things facing Ogden in the upcoming future?
Well, it's the same anywhere in the United States right now. The economy, we need to keep focused on that, providing opportunities for our kids to work. We have 23,000 students at Weber State that come out of Weber State looking for job opportunities. There are a lot of different labor pockets in the community that haven't really tapped into Weber State. So getting the labor force and our different companies to connect on a meaningful level, I think, is critical. We've got great growth, and I think we have a good base to build from here. It's critical we keep that as one of our main areas of focus. But you also need to really have safe neighborhoods and walkable neighborhoods. One of the issues we have in some of the areas in Ogden right now, you need to have, studies show 60% of home ownership in neighborhoods to provide any type of realistic stability. And in some areas we have 80% rental. And so providing programs for people to buy their homes, take pride in where they live, it decreases crime because you're going to be less likely. The most important investment most of us have all made is our home. And if something's going out front in your home, you're going to call the police and be more involved in the community policing aspect of that. If it's a rental, you're probably just going to flip the blinds and go back to your business and wish it would go away, which it never does. Wishing them away, wishing problems away never happens. And we've got the Own in Ogden, Home Sweet Ogden, and the Good Landlord program, 3 different key programs that need to keep the momentum, have some teeth to them, make sense for both people that are investing in properties here. So if you are a landlord, you have good reason and incentive to take care of your properties, but also to give people that want to buy that new home, spend some time fixing them up. We've got such unique, rich, historic areas here. I mean, I have a lot of people laugh and say, wow, I could come buy a home here, $150,000, this craftsman, 1950s craftsman bungalow. I'd pay $650, $700 for that in the Sugar House area of Salt Lake. Skiing is, 20 minutes to get there. I'm an hour and a half to get up the Cottonwood Canyons. You got the river trails that are right here, the bench trails. I mean, it's a real unique asset that people are just starting to find out about. And so I think those programs need to be continued. Those families that move in, you'll have less transitional elementaries. Some of our elementaries that have struggled, they say there's a real transient population that comes through. The kids are only there for 6 months, and they find another place. And to have some stability in the schools, I think, will really help increase our level of education here as well.
We've talked about a lot of items. What is probably, in your opinion, one of the most important things facing Ogden at the moment?
Well, I think the most critical issue is bringing business and jobs into Ogden. That's really number one for me, because I think that's the foundation of stable stable neighborhoods. I think it's the foundation of, because if you've got jobs here in Ogden, you've got people that live in Ogden here working in Ogden. They don't have to drive to Salt Lake City in order to have a job, right? They can work right here. And that keeps people in our neighborhoods. It keeps people with their families, because then they don't have that 2-hour extra commute time. It also keeps the money in our community. So we're earning it here, we're spending it here. It stabilizes our neighborhoods. Those are very, very critical factors. In fact, not too long ago, here just this last week, we were recognized as nationwide as being one of the locations, the areas, the Ogden-Clearfield area, as having brought in the most jobs in the entire nation, on a short list of I think we were second on that list.
Wow.
So,
that's great.
So the current administration is doing a great job of bringing in jobs. We need to continue that. One thing that I probably would change and add to that is that we need to focus on quality, not as much quantity, so that we have jobs that are on the higher end, that are bringing in businesses that will fill the empty office space we have downtown, some corporate office business, some finance jobs that will help support the downtown, as well as bring in higher paying jobs that support our families and our neighborhoods.